It's time for pro and power users of the iPad to push more now than we ever have before. What's going on, YouTube? The great YouTuber Rene Ritchie made a video called Why the iPad is Broken, in which he explains that pretty much nobody knows what to do with the iPad, and that a small percentage of users, power and pro users like myself, like many of you watching, are causing and forcing almost the iPad to become and do things that it was never really thought of as being able to do. But this is why it's such a good thing. So hit the subscribe button and click the bell as we cover all things iPad Pro, Apple Talk, and Pro Audio. I'm Chris Grant Jr. It's the Grant Geek Show. So of course I'll leave a link down in the description below, but Rene made a fantastic video in which he explains the origin of the iPad, how Steve Jobs saw it as one of his greatest inventions, and he also thought that it was the future of computing. He mentions in his video that iOS 6, at least internally, Apple thought was pretty much as far as the iPad was going to go in terms of functionality, but they kept pushing and pushing, and now we have so many things from split screen multitasking, etc. So many features now on the iPad, not just the iPad Pro, but also other versions of the iPad. Now we have M1 chip, which is also seen in Macs. We have Thunderbolt and all these other features that really should never have made their way to iPad. But it goes back to what Steve Jobs said, and if you're not new to this channel, then this is not new to you. I don't believe that the iPad Pro is the future of tablet computing. I believe the iPad Pro is the future of computing, period. And this is why this small group of power users, it's not that if Apple gives us all these features that we'll be happy. No, it's only when they give us all these pro features that the iPad will truly reach its full potential. And once it does that, ladies and gentlemen, it will dominate and take over the world of personal computing. It will be the end of the laptop. It could be the end of the desktop. You have a tablet, and I've talked about this many times. It has the ability to take on tablet form factor, obviously, naturally, but also it can be put in a keyboard case and be a laptop. It can be docked and linked up to monitors, or a monitor right now, and be a desktop, actually. And we've heard rumors of full monitor support coming, and this is for people who just want a desktop. Well, guess what? If you just want a desktop, just have an iPad, because not only can it be a desktop when you want it to be, but you also have something else to carry around. So we know that there are users of desktops and users of laptops. The iPad can be all those things. All you have to do is buy one device to rule them all. And that's why there's such a push, and that's why I continue to push on this channel for the iPad Pro to be given more power, to be given more functionality. We know it's got the M1 chip. We know that it can run more than one monitor at a time. It does this crazy crop thing, basically fitting the form factor of the iPad screen instead of going to a widescreen 16:9 form factor for external displays. But we're hearing rumors of that, as well as 3 different modes for the iPad. So we have basic touch first mode, which is for your regular average Joe, average Jane iPad user. Then you've got the second functionality, which would be more Apple Pencil oriented. So you would have buttons and things rearranging and maybe getting a little smaller because of the pinpoint accuracy of the Apple Pencil. And then finally, the third mode, which would be a Pro mode, would be enabled when you have the Apple Magic Keyboard, or you have any keyboard and mouse combination connected to the iPad, and it would allow window over window multitasking. It would allow all these different things that are incredible. There are tons of videos, by the way, on this Pro mode for iPad Pro. I'll link some of them down in the description below. Great YouTubers out here covering this kind of stuff. The biggest video I ever did on this channel so far is the one, Apple's secret plan for the iPad Pro, and it was pretty much prophetic in nature, besides obviously the timeline. You see, I thought it would be coming at WWDC of last year. Didn't happen, but other than that, all the features are starting to come and starting to take shape. And I think this is happening because it's all that can happen. Technology has to evolve, and it typically has to get better and better. It's a general trend to get better and better. And the iPad, with its ability and capability, the only way for it to get better is, yes, to start to encroach on some of MacBook's territory, on some of Mac Pro and Mac Studio's territory in terms of functionality. Yes, to the point where people will ask themselves, okay, well, I can only afford one device. Am I going to spend $2,000 on a base model Mac Studio and then have nothing to take on the go? Am I going to get a laptop, but I need to draw? None of it really fits the all-encompassing situations that creators find themselves in and that the average person finds themselves in. I think it's also important to go back to the origins of the computer at first. It wasn't for the average consumer. It was for business uses and for scientific research and things like that. It wasn't until, yes, Apple, with their guided user interface and other things, started making the computer more fun for consumers, for creation and things like that. And so I think with the iPad, it's another case similar to that. People don't understand what they'll be able to do with the iPad, and Apple is fully able to convince people of that if they're willing to unleash it. And I said, you have to have the beefy processor first in order to enable the functionality later. Now, I thought it would just be a 1-2 punch last year, really, with the M1 being announced in the spring, and then WWDC, they dropped the software, ready to go, Final Cut, all these different things. But no, it didn't happen that way. And I think what's actually going to happen is perhaps WWDC of this year, we're going to start to see our first glimpse of what the iPad is truly capable of doing. And once again, when it does that, it's going to change everything all over again. Other than that, I agree with everything that Rene Ritchie said in his video. Let me know what you think down in the comments below. As always, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button. I got a ton of content coming up for my pro audio people. I just did a kind of a overview of these Kali audio speakers. I've enjoyed using them. They're incredible. You're not going to want to miss that. And of course, covering all things iPad Pro, Apple Talk, and Pro Audio. Stay tuned. I'm Chris Grant Jr. It's the Granite Geek Show.